Hi everybody, I'm Jack the Ring Raconteur, and school's in session. This is summer school tag, or the summer school book tag. This is actually what I wear, usually on the first day of school. The blue and green are the school colors where I teach. So, and green's my favorite color, so it's fantastic. I've got a pair of Kelly green pants that go with this outfit. This tag was created by Doris at Alta Books. Fantastic channel. This was a great set of prompts, and then her responses in her own original video are so intelligent, so insightful. Absolutely outstanding. I was just waiting to be tagged. Bill Rutenberg, a fellow educator, tagged me in his comments. So let's jump in. I'll link to both of those below. Prompt 1 is language arts. Tell us about a book you were assigned to read in school. So from grade school, Diary of Anne Frank. There was nothing I had ever read before it that was like it. There have been very few works after it that have been as significant and worth paying attention to, reading, really focusing on. From middle school, it's Call the Wild by Jack London, only because we had one of my years of middle school, we had a first-year teacher as our English teacher. We were not a kind class. He was a very kind and compassionate teacher. And reading the Call the Wild, we read a lot of it out loud in class and read through scenes and played through scenes together. And he really got us bought in with that book. It was fun. From high school, it'd probably be the poetry of Langston Hughes. And then in college, it's definitely Aristophanes' Greek comedy Lysistrata, which is very funny, very bawdy. And you can, if you've ever read it, or when you read it, you'll understand why it would be so funny to do a live reading of that with a bunch of 19 and 20-year-old college students. It's very enjoyable. So, prompt 2, math. When will I ever use this again? I won't have a diatribe at this point. I will say, I'll give my response. Share a book in which characters need math skills. The most recent one for me would have been part 2 of The Sleepwalkers by Herman Brock, The Anarchist, in which August Ash wants to start a theater venture, basically a small business, and he has to figure out the financing around it, how he's going to make that work. And so there's a great example. Starting a small business. You need mathematics. And I'm not just talking basic arithmetic and counting. The last 2 things I'll say on the concept of math and using it. 1, if someone walked in and said, our parents said, look, you don't need to learn to read. I'm illiterate too. Everyone in the room's head would explode. You'd be like, no! But when parents say, it's okay, I don't do math, we just kind of go yeah, me too. We need to be able to understand math. We need to be able to understand. Now, I'm all for the idea that we don't need to be having everybody take calculus, pre-calculus, or even whole portions of advanced algebra. They're not highly relevant to most people's lives. But understanding data analysis, how statistics are used to manipulate facts, that's really important. And I think we're seeing more and more why there's a need to understand those aspects of mathematics. It's something I push in my own classes. The other thing I'll say is that anybody can learn mathematics. Maybe not from a textbook or from really boring lessons that just ask you, copy what I did 50 times. But anybody can learn mathematics. So, prompt 3, science. What was the last science-related book you read? A Walk in the Deciduous Forest by Rebecca Johnson. So this is a great series. They don't have the technical type of forest you would find in northern Arizona, but we took this when we went camping with our daughters and kind of read through it and discussed different aspects. So a deciduous forest is one where the trees lose all of their leaves. In Arizona, we have more evergreen forests. We have a bunch of coniferous forests, but there are deciduous trees in Arizona, northern and eastern Arizona. So we took this up and read it with our daughters and then looked and compared the trees we found on our camping trip. I used to teach. I taught biology and physics for a long time before I taught mathematics, and so, really enjoyable. Prompt 4, social studies. Share a book from your TBR that is translated or deals with government. I have 2. My translation is one of my all-time favorite books, and my daughters love this book too, The Conference of the Birds. And this is retold by Alex York Lombard, and it's a very famous work from the Sufis within Islam. And this book just has these incredible illustrations and retells the story, and it's a really beautiful and interesting story. And then for dealing government, of course, I'm still working through Reporting Civil Rights. This is the Dust Jack for Volume 2. And with John Lewis passing, this starts with the March to Washington, and he was a major part of that. And so I was kind of leafing through this and skipping ahead even though I hadn't finished part 1. Prompt 5, Exploratories. Which category of extra non-core classes did you take the most of in high school? Well, you were only required to take 2 years of foreign language, and I took 4 so that I could learn enough Spanish to, nowadays I speak to family members or community members, but I certainly don't have like a high level of Spanish. And I also was in student council, so those kind of took up my extra elective courses. Prompt 6, Common Core, share a good pairing of fiction and nonfiction. These are both outstanding works. I highly recommend. So the fiction is The Water Knife by Paolo Bacigalupi. It's a dystopic science fiction book in which the entire western United States is basically under drought, and so the Colorado River is a war zone between California, Nevada, Arizona. Phoenix has a whole group of like arcology, Paolo Soleri-esque buildings. It's really interesting, really, really fascinating. There are some episodes that are very, very dark, some violence and sexual violence, but it's a really good book. It makes you think through like, the next generation. And there's a great deal of intertextuality with this book, Cadillac Desert, by Mark Reisner, and this is, of course, a nonfiction telling of how water rights have developed in the southwestern United States, some of the dangers, and again, I said, we need mathematics, the misrepresentation that's occurred. There are developments going up in Pinal County, south of Phoenix, and north of Phoenix, in northern Maricopa County and Yavapai County, that don't have any water, and that falsify information to the state legislature to get approval for these developments. And this book, part of it is how the dams were built and the different governmental acts to create those, the Central Arizona Project, of course. And so, absolutely fantastic book, Cadillac Desert. Highly recommend both. Prompt 7, research. What was the last topic that inspired you to seek out books so you could read up on it? Not so much books, but a lot of articles. In its education technology, with the pandemic and virtual learning being a reality, for 2 weeks minimum, maybe longer, especially here. And I help with educational technology for my district. In addition to teaching, that's one of the things I do it with my classes anyways, so I help with that. So I've been participating in Twitter chats on a weekly basis and just really making sure I'm catching up to speed to be ready. Prompt 8, what subject area would you teach? Well, I teach mathematics. I teach algebra. I've taught Algebra 2. I teach college mathematics, AP statistics. Again, I work in an alternative school. So I have students from all sorts of, educational backgrounds, family backgrounds. Most of them have not historically been successful. And they come into my class and they're terrified. Because they're like, well, I'm taking Algebra 2 and your class, or I'm taking Geometry and your class. Like, what am I going to do? You'll be all right. And they are. They do outstanding. We have, my students are the hardest workers, and they're absolutely incredible people. They have matched the district, the past 2 years, they've matched the district average on AccuPlacer to go into post-secondary. They've been scoring in the highest category on the ASVAB, those who are going in the armed forces. So I'm very, very, very happy with what I do. I would like, if I could, to teach maybe Algebra 1 and Introductory Physics together, algebra-based physics, and push in engineering principles. I've taught each of those classes separately, but I've never had the chance to teach the same group of students both of those, and I think that would be fun and interesting. Prompt 9, share a photo from your school days. Let me see what I can do here. We'll see if this pops up. So this is me. I'm this guy. So that's our coach, and then I'm the guy just to his left. That's me in high school on my track team. I'm wearing a pair of yellow shorts in that picture, in case anybody thought that I adopted colorful style later on in life. Prompt 10, tag some fellow lifelong learners. This tag's been going around. I don't know if there are any teachers or educators, anybody who's a lifelong learner and would like to do this. This is a great set of prompts. It's highly enjoyable, so I highly recommend that you do it. Thank you, everyone, and stay safe.